All right, guys, welcome back to the Side Dish Podcast. It's me, your host, Aaron, joined, wait a minute, not as always by my co-host, Celine Jung, who's not here today. So instead, I'm joined by the 26-year-old intern, Chris.
Hi.
Our sound engineer, Jay. Our friend, Andrew Lim, who's just popping in this week. And our special guest, Katie Kim.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast, Katie. You're a filmmaker, and you are finishing off your third year at the Columbia MFA in film, right? So maybe just give listeners a little overview of maybe what drew you to film initially, and also like how was being a film student like? You know, is it everything that it's cracked up to be, or everything you expected, or unexpectedly has it been beneficial in certain ways?
Right. I went to 2 film schools.
That's right. You did film in undergrad. I totally forgot. Yeah.
So I went to NYU for undergrad, and I went as a social work major. So I took a class at NYU that was it was documentaries for human rights issues. And I ended up taking 3 classes with the same professor. And the next one was about civil rights. The next one was about contemporary art. And I just kept talking to the professor, like, I really want to do something. Like, I want to help people. I want to tell stories, something along those lines. And the professor was the one being like, I think you want to make films. I think the way you want to help people is to tell stories about people. My dad is like an energy doctor, and he practiced like he's very spiritual. And he tells me that different senses have different powers. And he says images have the power to instruct. So you're being instructed what to do when you look at an image.
I see.
Right? So in that sense, images have a lot of responsibility.
I see.
Right?
That's interesting.
So you watch something, you look at something, and you're like, oh, this image is telling me what to do. That's why image has so much. That's why representation is important, in my opinion.
That's pretty cool. So you transitioned into film at NYU, which we all know is like an amazing film program, right? So when you went in, did you feel like an outsider as a social worker, like not kind of welcomed into the community? Because you transferred in what year? Like sophomore, junior year?
Junior year.
That's pretty late, I'd say, right? How did that go for you?
One of my roommates at NYU was already in film. That's actually kind of how I got into it.
And is that Sarah?
It's Madeline.
Oh, it's Maddie,
yeah,
of course.
I love Madeline. We just decided to work on my first feature together. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that feature?
I think it's a film that I think is timely, like because it's a film about healing, and everybody went through something during the pandemic. And my dad is a spiritual healer, like I said, so I wanted to put all of the things that I learned from him into the film. For example, he says things like, there are 2 things with healing powers, and one thing is beauty, the other is humor. So if you constantly seek every day, if you wake up every day being like, okay, today I'm going to find, like, I'm going to interact with something very beautiful and very funny, you know? Like you can go see a movie that's really beautiful. You can go hiking and look at nature.
Totally. Yeah.
And laughing is really important. So I want to put those things, and I want the film itself to feel that way. I want the film to be really beautiful and really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any tricks to make something seem beautiful on screen?
Tricks.
Because like writers have tricks. You can tell when a writer is trying to fall back on his skill when he just describes things, or she describes things kind of in great minutia detail. And a lot of people find beauty in that. But I think that's what we fall back on in creative writing. Describing the reflection of a lamplight in this puddle with a leaf in it. I mean, there is beauty in there. When you put an image in someone's head, you create the beauty. And it's more work to do it as a director. And that's why film, I respect it so much, because it's such a controlled kind of art where it's not just the words. It's not just the acting. It's the colors. It's the sound. It's the mise en scène. There's like so many things that you can do to really tap into that emotional response. So like, for example, going back to Egg, I've seen that movie a few times. I really like that movie.
Really?
Your first movie, I really, really like it. Not to say I don't like your other ones. Going into film, you wrote this film, Egg, and you're saying it was kind of inspired by your father. It was kind of inspired by your desire to portray beauty, right, and humor concurrently. As a young artist, you were, what, 20 at the time you made this film? 21 maybe?
21.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you look back on that film and is there anything that you like look and you're like, oh, I can't believe that was like a big moment for me in this movie? Like, how have you developed as an artist from there?
Yeah, that's a great question. When I watch Egg now, I think I love it for, I love it, as in I accept it for what it is.
Yeah, it's your baby. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need to change
totally.
it. I don't need to. It's actually, that's the beautiful thing about film. It captures the moment in time, right? So when I look at it, it just has, I have so many memories about making it and what I was like at the time, what was important to me at the time. And
can you give a very, elevator pitch, log line? What's the movie about?
I'm so bad at pitching. That's the thing. Apparently, like directors and writers are the worst at pitching because I don't know. If you're so good at talking to people, you should be like a business person. I think writers and directors maybe are so, but I do believe that if you feel so passionate about something, it just comes out of you, right? Elevator pitch of Egg. I don't even. Basically, the story is I have 4 different characters trying to define love with an egg, and every person. They're supposed to participate in a documentary where they're given a camera and an egg and be like, okay, define love with an egg. And then because they're different people, they do it very differently.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Jay, how would you define love with an egg?
That's a great question.
Well, I like breakfast a lot and
Morning sex. I was going to say the same thing. I'm kidding.
but I mean, the thing with an egg is there are so many different forms of eggs. Like I love scrambled eggs if they are kind of a little bit undercooked and a little bit more runny. I like my sunny side up eggs. I like my over easy eggs. So there's a lot of.
Sorry, are we at the International Pancake House right now? Like, what's going on?
Wait, so which one of these eggs are Molly? Is she your scrambled egg or?
So they're basically there are a lot of different forms of eggs, or an egg can take many different forms, and I will love them in their own ways.
I actually think that's exactly what Katie's script and film communicated. It was that everyone has a different kind of preference when it comes to eating eggs or whatever. That was a question that Katie had asked me when you first wrote the script, right? And so I had, me as trying to think of everything metaphorically. I was just like, oh, you could smash an egg, you could throw it at someone, you could use it as a joke. It could be nourishment. It could be a dietary thing. There's so many levels to using that metaphor, right? And the way the movie came out, I think, was so good. I mean, it was a great film. So then you made that movie at NYU, and then you went straight to the Columbia MFA right afterwards, which is where I went for writing. So I have a lot of feelings about the MFA at Columbia. I'm curious about what your feelings thus far. You're in your 3rd year, you're finishing up. What are your feelings about the Columbia MFA?
I love it because I realized that I had so much I wanted to learn. So I would recommend someone to go to film school if they feel like there's so much they can learn.
Right.
Like you should be like, I don't know anything.
Can you pinpoint one thing that you weren't getting at the NYU program that Columbia really opened up for you?
I think writing. That's the biggest reason. Columbia was the only program I applied to.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. I thought about going to UCLA.
Or like USC?
Yeah, I thought about it, but I felt like Columbia is what when I met up with a guy who went to Columbia and also NYU like me, and he told me it's very screenwriting heavy. Yeah.
I think it's quite interesting because we have someone who's in the directing writing program of Columbia and then writing program graduate of the graduate program at Columbia. So you can speak on that, right?
I mean, so our program was 2 floors beneath yours, 1 floor beneath yours.
Yeah, you were beneath us.
Yeah, we were.
We
But
love writers.
when I was a student there, we had a lot of film students coming to us for scripts.
Oh, I believe you. I believe you.
So like my image in my head was like, no one writes at the film program at Columbia. That's what I felt at the time. But I guess that's changed, or maybe these kids coming up to us. I mean, we had a lot of students being like, do you have a story that we could adapt into something like a project? And I was like, yeah, but you don't want to adapt my story into a fucking film.
I really
dude.
want to. I've read your short stories. They're so good.
Yeah, but I don't think that they would make good films. We talked about this. They would not make
I
good films.
disagree.
I think with short story writing, you can infuse it with so much meaning and beauty, and a single sentence can accomplish that. I think it's a lot harder in film, right? To capture that so succinctly takes so much more mental energy and a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, I think your stories worked perfectly as a short story.
They're good on the page, right? But like going back to the program, you know, like my experience with Columbia's MFA was like it's very competitive. Everyone's trying to one up the other person, and you want to collect things to brag about, essentially. And in literature, it's very clear because it's like you submit stories, you get them published, then you're like on cloud nine. I think in film, there's again, it's just a different process, right? You got to make it, you got to submit it. It gets accepted to these festivals, but it doesn't, you know, like maybe it doesn't win anything, right? But even getting accepted is its own accolade. It's such a longer career. In my time at Columbia, I published 3 pieces, and I was very happy with all of them. And 3 is a lot compared to a lot of writers, to be honest. So I felt like, okay, that's fine. I did the publishing thing. I made $100 off publishing in magazines. Literally $100. That's it.
Shots on Aaron.
Well, I just signed a contract where I'm streaming a film of mine on Amazon Prime, and I got paid $230. And it's Amazon.
Yeah.
So
Wait, so which film was that? That's Blue Gray?
Blue Gray.
Do you want to talk about that film? So that was the film you made at Columbia, one of the first you made when you got into the program.
Right.
And you filmed it in Korea.
I did. Yeah.
Can you tell us about what inspired that, or even what your inspirations as a filmmaker are, you know?
In general.
Because that movie has a lot of Wong Kar-wai in it, I would say.
Oh, thank you. Wait, can I say one thing about the program being competitive? So for me, I think I had a positive experience in the program because one of the producing professors who was a chair at the time, Maureen, she just produced a film called Dick Johnson is Dead. It's such an amazing film. Everyone should see it. It's on Netflix. She said, don't compete with each other, compete with yourself. Always get better every day. Like compete with yourself. And that really stuck with me. And I was like, because when you compete with other people, it's painful. It hurts a lot because you're constantly comparing yourself and you don't feel good enough. But when you compete with yourself, there's only moving forward.
That's true. But the Columbia program is structured in a way where there are things that you have to apply for and get. I don't know how it is in the film program, but with the writing program, it was like, we have 15 slots for this very prestigious fellowship. We have 3 slots for the New Yorker internship. We have 3 slots for the New York Times internship. So every semester, we're all applying for these things. And, you know, certain people rose above the rest to get these kinds of recognitions. And it created that kind of energy where I think, you know, some people were like, I don't play that game. I don't want to play that game. And good for them. But for those of us who wanted to get the most out of that program, it created that feeling of like always trying to one up someone or always just at least trying to be like, they got that internship, but at least I published or I did this or I did that, you know? But maybe that's more like a career thing, you know? I think people are always in careers trying to like judge their ascension to other people. But going back to Blue Gray, so you shot that film in Korea, and it's a story of, I guess, what I would say is like a young girl who's being set up to marry this guy, and she's trying to decide if she wants to entertain this idea, but she's very much caught between 2 worlds, right?
Right.
Where did that idea come from for you? Was that coming from a very personal place that you were feeling torn?
Yeah. I don't believe when a person says my film is not personal.
Yeah.
Because there's no way. If you feel so passionate enough to make a film about it, it's personal.
I think that's all art, you know? I think all art comes from like a very personal place. Like when people say, like we said, when people say something like, I just thought of it and it doesn't have to do anything with me. Like I think it's bullshit.
Yeah, so when Vladimir Nabokov wrote Lolita, that was coming from a very personal place, apparently.
sure.
Yeah.
Bong Joon-ho said in the Oscar speech, the most creative is the most personal.
Right.
Right.
And I think any artist would agree with that. But there are, you know, in film, there are varying degrees to that truism because you could have a very successful film that is not, quote unquote, super artistic or have a lot of like personal merit for humanity, but is entertaining as fuck. You know, I just watched Godzilla vs Kong the other night. That movie was great. Such an entertaining blockbuster.
So personal.
But I'm just saying, this movie throws that shit out the window.
Yeah, it's a real one for them, one for me type of movie.
Yeah, this is a studio
Which
movie.
is Steven Spielberg says that. He
Yeah.
makes one for him,
Yeah.
one for people.
So with Blue Gray, you worked on this story about a girl who's trapped between basically Korea and America. And knowing you as an artist, I've seen that as a sort of theme in
Right,
your
right.
work.
That's it.
Do you want to talk a little bit about what you're working on right now and the ideas you're trying to grapple with?
Spoiler alert.
Something I'm working on right now. Did I mention how I think that a film should be timely?
You've mentioned that earlier, yeah.
So this film is about a girl named Bona.
Did
Sounds
you
like
say
boner.
Bona?
Is that intentional?
No.
Oh, okay.
But I am actually okay with the fact that people laugh. Some people laugh when I say this name.
It just makes me think of that movie, Bona Lisa Smile.
Is it a
Is that a porn?
Yeah, what?
Okay, so it's about
anyways,
this girl named Bona.
her name is Bona, and the reason why her name is Bona is because there's a Roman goddess named Bona D, who is a goddess of healing. And I mentioned how my dad is a spiritual healer, and this girl's dad is also a spiritual healer. And,
What a coincidence.
and this character is a lot like a Disney princess. She's like a hopeless romantic and a people pleaser. And that was I really wanted to write a people pleaser character because I can relate to that, being a Korean person. And I think, but essentially the film is about the fear of being alone. I realized that I'm reading this book about the psychologist Alfred Adler, and his central idea is that every problem that humans have comes from relationships, nothing else. It's about other people.
Okay.
Therefore, our biggest fears is actually we really don't want to be alone. So everything we do is to protect ourselves from that, the fear of being alone. So we pour ourselves into work. We think that if we do a good job at our work, or good job as an actor or director, people will love us. If we find the right romantic partner, like I feel like finding true. That's why I wrote her as a Disney princess, because a Disney princess is all about finding their true love, right? I think we all think that if we find our true love, we won't feel alone anymore.
Well, I love that you bring that up because there's always an I want. They call it the I want song. So every Disney movie that has like a great musical number has an I want song. Whether it's like, oh, I want to be king or I want to be part of that world. But my sort of counter to what you're saying is that all narratives come from, someone wanting something. And the greatest stories are, I want this and I got it, but I'm still not happy. That's what I learned in my writing program. Is like that's how you write great stories.
Right.
And like, for example, a great musical theater production like that is Into the Woods.
My favorite musical ever.
Right. It's a great
actually.
musical, but it ends halfway through when it's like everyone's singing happily ever after, and Act 2 is like the aftermath. So it's like the unhappy princess when she's married to Prince Charming, and it's a great study. It's a very postmodern story, upending that I want. Going back to your current film, is there something that you think then your lead wants? What does she want?
So her backstory is that she was raised by her dad, but her mom left her as a kid. So her I want is her family.
So she wants to reconnect.
She wants to, yeah, she
Gotcha.
wants to reconnect with her parents. She wants to. So the main plot is that this girl who doesn't know her mom and was raised in Korea goes to New York and meets her mom, reunites with her mom, who is this famous Broadway star.
Well, I bet you she was in the Broadway production of Into the Woods.
Into the woods. Into the woods. Out of the woods.
Right. So yeah, she wants a family, which I think is a very primal desire.
Lovely. And so how was you wrote the script and production
still
is
writing
halted right now, but are you planning on finishing this project, timeline wise, like before the summer? Because I also know that you're working on a feature, or you want to develop a feature.
This is the feature.
Oh, this is the feature. So you wrote the whole script? No.
I'm writing it right now through school and with Madeline.
Oh, so do we know how it's going to end?
I know that she, in the end, is no longer afraid of being alone.
Okay. That's good.
Because I realize that so many people like if you don't have some kind of distraction like TV or computer, anything, could you be alone for, let's say 2 weeks? Let's say you're quarantining. Could you do that?
Well, Katie, I was going to ask you, like, do you think that your beliefs about filmmaking have changed since you first fell in love with this art form? And if so, how?
Well, I didn't know what the art form is like, right? I loved watching movies, but I didn't know what it's like to make a movie. But I stand by the fact that the magic of, you know, when you watch a film that really makes a difference in your life, that magic has not changed in the process of making it, at least for me. Because somebody asked me recently, like, what's your favorite part of, what do you love about directing? And I do this thing where when I start rehearsal with actors, I make them do eye contact with each other for however long I want. And they usually don't expect this. So when they start, they're at first they're like really awkward about it, right? And then you start and then it keeps going. And there were many times where people cried. There were many times where people
Start
just-
having sex.
I
That's a
didn't have
different
that.
type of. That's a different type of directing.
Right? But what I called it is energy exchange, right? So I think everybody actually wants to feel that kind of energy, that kind of magic I mentioned in the movies, and that kind of like, I believe the films that really make a difference in our lives were made to love us, to be like, I want to make this for you, you know?
That's such a deep statement.
I mean, what would that? Could you, off the top of your head, name a movie that made you feel that way?
Yeah, Spirited Away. I felt like that movie was made like for kids and to be like, hey, you can do that. You can do that impossible thing. You can save your parents even though they turn into pigs. You can, there is magic in the world, you know?
You know, that reminds me of, as a writer, right? Roald Dahl was a big influence on me as a kid. But then the New Yorker published this article many years ago that I read that was just like, Roald Dahl was basically creating these fantasy scenarios where children were the heroes of their own story. And not to say that I'm cynical now when I see those stories, but I cannot forget that. When I heard that about my hero, Roald Dahl, I would go back to these stories and be like, yeah, when you put a kid in an extraordinary circumstance and then he fucking succeeds or she succeeds.
And acts like an adult.
Yeah.
To a certain extent.
No, and not only that, but in his books, Roald Dahl always portrayed adults as fucking idiots. And the adults are the ones who need correction. So, and when I read that, it made me have to kind of rethink why I loved Dahl so much growing up. And it really was that. All of his adult characters are repulsive, and the kids are the ones who know what's going on.
Speaking of which, I want to know everybody's film that affected them the most as a kid, and like a film maybe that kind of became a part
of your
you.
DNA,
Yeah,
your art
yeah.
DNA. That's a good question. I mean, honestly, the ones that come to mind for me are not really great films.
That's fine.
You know?
That's subjective.
I mean, for me, it's actually another Miyazaki movie, which is My Neighbor Totoro. And my brother and I watched that movie probably like twice a week growing up. And I actually rewatched it maybe like a year ago, and it still held true. Like all those memories I had as a kid watching it, I had the same kind of thoughts and feelings that I had watching it as an adult, which was pretty mind-blowing to me because it was like, at the time it felt like such a kid's movie, you know? But it had all these deeper like relationships and things that people go through in life that are hard to deal with. I think because of that movie and also the way that my family is, we've always valued that kind of familial relationship. And even talking about that right now is making me very... Yeah, it's like...
I'm just about to cry. Oh my God.
I think I might cry.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
This is the magic.
Chris, you got one?
Something about dodgeball. Yeah, I mean that movie
Ben
just
Stiller comedy?
Yeah.
That's a
A
funny.
tearjerker.
That's a funny movie.
because like
It's a social commentary, actually.
I love dodgeball.
because it was something about the fact that this was like the first. I think it was R-rated at the time. I'm not sure, but
I doubt it.
yeah, I mean, I wasn't supposed to be able to get into the theater. Got in with my friend, and this was the first like movie I remember watching in America. And And just like the experience of it really made it amazing for me, right? Like to make someone else laugh in a movie where you go in expecting to laugh, I find that to be the hardest thing ever.
Harder than making them cry?
I think so. I mean, making people cry is so formulaic, as seen by like Korean movies, right? Like, there's it's just it's a real formula. Whereas
Works every time.
hell yeah, dude! Like I was watching Chirbambang, and I couldn't stop
What's
crying.
the first movie that you cried in? I'm just very curious. For
Toy
me,
Story?
dude, Air Bud.
Yeah, I mean, classic, right? Any
Classic.
I mean, Marley and Me is a real tearjerker.
That's a tearjerker, yeah.
For me, I have a distinct memory of crying, bawling while watching Life is Beautiful.
Yeah.
That
my God.
shit fucking
Yeah,
That's a
dude,
deep
that's
one.
so hard.
It's a deep one.
I mean, for sure, for me, it's A Wonderful Life. That was like I couldn't stop.
Oh, you guys
crying.
want to hear my Jimmy Stewart impression? Clarence, I want to live again.
Pretty good, but I think you also told me you never fully watched that movie.
I'll try it one more time. Ready? Clarence, I want to live again.
So Andrew,
Compare it to the audio of the movie, and it's identical. Okay.
Okay.
But no, I mean, talking about how cinema affected us emotionally growing up, right? I'm a little bit envious that you're studying this art form because as a writer, I can think of so many books that make me cry today. I almost cried. I'm reading this book called The Book of Disquiet by Fernando Pessoa, and I literally almost cried the other day. And I bemoan if people don't cry while reading books, but I don't think people read books anymore. You know what I mean?
I think that's going to change.
I hope
have
it does.
a feeling.
For my own like future as like someone who likes writing and wants to create art through writing, movies make me cry, songs make me cry, but books, I don't know a lot of people who even read books. And also most people who do read books are reading like nonfiction. They're reading something that's going to enrich their intellect, but enriching the soul as writers, that's what we learn is like writing is for the soul. It's not really for the mind. And when I read something, I'm taking pictures literally of this book, the pages that I like. And this guy wrote this in like 1938 or something. It was published in the 80s, right? So just even the fact that this guy had these thoughts back in the 30s and that I had these thoughts today in 2021, again, a great reason why art can affect people and transcend all these times, which segues into sort of another question I had for you, Katie. What were your big influences as an artist for filmmaking, or not even just filmmakers, or like writers, poets, actors, fashion models? I don't know. Like, did something influence you or trigger you to go down that road?
Yeah, I think the biggest one is my dad.
Okay.
I said he's the spiritual healer, and he said beauty and humor heals. And I think actually in a way I consider myself a healer too.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think that's for us to tell you instead of you to tell us.
Okay.
But you are a healer. You are a healer.
What about like creative influences that were established voices?
Like I said, Miyazaki is big because I believe that there should be magic in someone's life. That I think is what movies can do if it's good. Like your life can be more than just going through the motions, like something alive, right? Another huge influence is Bong Joon-ho,
Oh yeah.
right? Because I love his humor.
Yeah, he's great. He's really good
so
at
funny.
fusing like
Different tone.
gravitas with
Yeah.
humor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he can like it'd be so tense in a scene, and then one like funny bit is going to just reset the audience for the next bit. He's great. But I mean Miyazaki and Bong Joon-ho, come on, aren't you
What
going
do you
to
want
dig
me to
deep
say?
into like your bag of like French directors or something? You're not going to like bust some esoteric knowledge on us.
Well, that's the thing. Like when I started grad school, people were asked to go around the table, like tell them your favorite filmmaker or movie. There were so many filmmakers I didn't know. But when somebody says something like Pixar or something that is accessible, because to me, the beauty of film is that it's accessible. That anyone can go see a movie in a theater.
Yes.
Instead of, even if you don't know how to read, that's important to me, that it's inclusive. I feel like exclusive art, museums, I have a complicated relationship with museums because of course, if you look at a painting that's beautiful, like it's so beautiful, but the process of going to a museum and how it makes you feel, like, I don't know. I was always a proponent of inclusive art. Why can't this museum be accessible to everyone? Why does it have to feel like only a certain group of people go look at this art? Why can't it be? And so that's what I love about film. I love that anyone can watch a film unless you're blind. But even if you're blind, you can listen to it. I think that's part of the beauty of filmmaking. It's sound and image, right?
I actually appreciate those answers because I feel like you can ask so many filmmakers, oh, who are your influences? And they'll like be like, oh yeah, like my favorite movie is like Citizen Kane or like some bullshit. And you're like, fuck off, dude. And then so like to like say that your favorite filmmakers are, I mean, not to say that Miyazaki and Bong Joon-ho are like just
mainstream,
like run of the mill, like
right.
mainstream shit, and that's not the case. But people know them, and
There's a reason.
Yeah.
I grew up watching a lot of Western films, and that's part of my DNA. That's what it is, you know. And Katie grew up watching a lot of Asian films. So when we first started talking about films years ago, she'd be like, "Have you seen this one director?" And this, I was like, "No." But I'll be like, "Have you seen Back to the Future?" She'd be like, "No."
I have seen it.
Now you have. Yeah, now you have.
On the plane.
We first met like 6 years ago, for the record.
Because I had nothing else to do. I watched it on the plane.
Because
It was
I know
a plane movie for me.
I know filmmakers. I know filmmakers who religiously. That's not even the right word. Systematically watch movies every day just to say that they know that movie, to acquaint themselves with that movie. I know writers who do that. I did that. I read everything under the sun at Columbia, and I read a lot of different shit. And it really did come down to what I know I like in literature is like fabulism or magical realism. I like those kinds of stories. So I like South American literature. I like Japanese literature. Not as into like, honestly, not as into French literature, even though French writers are like really highly regarded, you know. I know filmmakers who don't really fuck with Godard, for example, even though a novice young person is like, Godard is the shit, you know. You know what I'm saying, though? Like, there are certain like directors or artists you can pinpoint being like, I fuck with this guy. And obviously who doesn't, like for me, the first time we had this conversation, Katie, I think I said, okay, my favorite director is probably Kubrick. And I still stand by Kubrick, you know, but my stances have matured a little bit since then. But then my new favorite director, and I can defend this, is like, I think it's going to have to be Kevin Smith.
For sure.
So Kevin Smith did Mallrats, he did Dogma, he did Jay and Silent Bob,
Clerks.
And
Clerks
the reason
2.
why I'll defend him, for example, is like, so Katie, you haven't seen him, and that's fine because he's a very American.
But I heard
director.
about Clerks. People do scenes from Clerks as
It
well.
has like a cult following.
Well, what I love about Kevin Smith is that he blew up on the scene with Clerks, and he got his accolades justifiably so. And then he was given carte blanche to make a lot of other movies, and a lot of them are not good. But you can tell that he's like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And if you're a fan of that sensibility, you're going to respond to it, and that's why he is a cult following kind of director now.
I mean,
you know?
to me, it just feels like he's a director who never got any
He's like
formal training, right? And then this is what I think
like
movies
him
should
and
be like.
Linklater,
Right.
like Richard Linklater and Kevin Smith are people I really hold in high regard because they just made their fucking movies,
Right.
and some of them have done really well, but a lot of others people just are like, what the fuck is this? And I love that about
It's just
them.
this is very like slice of life, right? Like it's just, this is what life is like. It's not the most extreme situations, but there is beauty in the small things, right?
The reason I was bringing that up is that these are directors that, you know, as a young artist, you might snuff your nose at, right? Or you might just
Not even think about them.
You might not even think about them.
Yeah.
Or as a serious artist, you might want to say other artists, you know? What I love about these directors is that integrity to, I'm going to make my art, and if you want to give me $10 million as a studio, fuck yeah, I'm going to blow it doing what I want to do, you know? And there's something to be said about that. So for you, barring the big names, can you give us like a random director whose integrity you respect or whose kind of approach to the craft kind of blew your mind?
Mike Lee. I mentioned him before.
What did he direct again?
He made this film called Secrets and Lies that won a Palme d'Or, right?
I
The
see.
best award at Cannes. And
When did he win?
I have no idea. 1990 something.
Oh, so he's pretty old then.
Yeah, he's older. Yeah.
Okay. Can I just ask? Because
Yeah.
Lee is a very common last name for any ethnicity?
He's white.
Is he white?
He's English. He's white. Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, Peng Juno says that Mike Lee is one of his
I see.
inspirations too. He makes family stories, and he also makes stories about middle class people in England. And it's just you cannot get to his level of character. You cannot. You know, there was one time a professor said you can have a story without plot, but you cannot have a story without character.
Right.
I feel like a good rule of thumb of whether or not a movie really speaks to you is if you want to exist in that world. And after seeing it, you still feel like you're there.
Wait, Katie, that's why like Miyazaki is like such a great
Exactly,
answer, but it's a
right.
cheap answer because like who doesn't want to be part of that?
But
fucking
I don't
universe?
think it's a cheap answer because another
What,
filmmaker I love
what about Manchester by the Sea?
what about it?
Do you want to be part of that world?
Oh,
Right.
isn't someone
What-
dead and like depressed?
What about
Little Mermaid. Do you want to be part of that
Massachusetts.
world?
Fuck Massachusetts.
I want.
No, I'm just kidding.
what about
I'm kidding.
City of God? You want to be part of that world?
I haven't seen it. I saw half.
Amazing.
I'm just saying, like these are worlds
no,
that are,
right,
are
right.
very grimy and
But
depressive.
Actually, maybe I should say a good rule of thumb of a movie I want to make.
Okay,
is
gotcha.
to create a world that I think people want to
Inhabit.
exist in.
Right. Avengers Civil War. Favorite film of all time.
Yeah, actually, I think Avengers is a smart film because
Right.
people
Well,
really respond to fantasy.
You know, but you know, did you read that thing Scorsese wrote in Vanity? You know, he's basically like Netflix is ruining everything, and that's essentially his
These
gist.
superhero movies aren't filmed.
But you know, he comes from a different generation, right?
Right, right.
So, like, you know, here's a good parallel with literature. It's like Rupi Kaur became this Instagram poet, and some of her poems I think are really great. Some of them I think are pretty fucking shitty.
I think you probably think it's shittier
But
than great.
what put her on, right? What put her on the map? Whatever vessel that was is kind of irrelevant. So my rebuttal to Mr. Scorsese, with all due respect, is like, dude, Netflix is just another platform, but it's allowing people to create art. So how could you even talk shit on that? It's like amazing that it's allowing these people to
I
create.
agree. I totally agree.
So we all hate Martin Scorsese.
No,
Great.
no, I
Which is kind of ironic because his last movie was on Netflix.
right.
It's like, what the hell?
But you know what? It didn't win. It did not win a single Academy Award.
Yeah, because it was fucking 4 hours.
And it was like nominated for like 7 different things, and
Yeah.
it didn't win a single one. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, Katie, to wrap things up, I'm sorry that this was a little bit all over the place, but I think we touched on the things that I wanted to know about you as an artist. Is there anything final thoughts that you want to contribute about filmmaking or the art form as a whole?
I do. Something that sorry, Chris was laughing.
He was laugh yawning.
Something my dad said to cancer patients when he was going on this lecture like all over Korea, and he did them for free. He just really wanted people to know these things. He said, being creative has healing powers. So that's actually a big thing for me. So he says, do something creative at least once a day. Cook or write something or paint something, do something, anything creative, even if it's just brainstorming. And I think, that's what I think that creative work, that's the power of creative work for me.
So I guess some could say that you're still in social
You're a social worker.
social worker.
that I would love that.
I mean,
want
this
to
might
help.
get cut out, but in Korean culture, shamanism is a big part of Korean culture, right? And it has a lot of legacy in Korean culture, and a lot of it is about someone being creative, and it is kind of cinematic in a way. Like, are you familiar with any shamanism, like Korean shamanism, and is your dad associated with that kind of work?
Oh, well, to answer your question, I love fortune tellers. I go to them for fun. I read tarot cards myself, actually. I'm not good. But when you go to a fortune teller, it's not about how well they predict the future. It's about how you feel about what you've been told.
Afterwards, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's actually what my dad said, that people go to fortune tellers not to really, like, he believes that you choose your future. You make every choice you make dictates your life. When you go to a fortune teller, you just want to figure out how you feel about certain things. That's why you ask, what will happen to my marriage? What will happen to and I want people to focus on, because I've brought so many friends to fortune tellers and they didn't want to because they were scared. But I was like, no, this is a way for you to figure out how you feel about this.
Right.
Yeah. This is, you use it,
Well, and that's you know what? That's brilliant because all of art is just holding a mirror up to humanity and making them reflect on what they respond to. And that's the beauty of it.
Exactly.
So, Katie, with that said, thank you so much for being here with us today, Katie. The first of many talks about art to come, honestly, because this was such a fun conversation. And with that said, you guys, thank you for tuning in. We'll catch you guys in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.